Hare Krishna. So there is some glaring. Where is this light? The behind light. So you see this light here?
Yeah, it's the light behind you.
There's a glaring, right? So this one. Which light is this? Okay. Can you turn that off? Tulsi Maharani's light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now it's good. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Sharing the slide or
Not yet. I'm going to. So Mahi, do you remember what we discussed last week?
Yes, proof of existence of soul. I mean, like what is the soul? We discussed about depth for the soul. So the same about the soul and the body.
Okay.
Observe good. It's a good observer and good knowledge, good thinker. I forgot the third one. And, our past two methods, remembering. I mean, past life remembrance. Yeah.
Okay. So the topic is who am I? Okay. So we started off this course with a topic called Search for Happiness. We discussed how people in this world are not happy. They think they're happy, but they're not truly happy. So no matter what we do, we do various activities. We entertain and we study, we get married, we find a nice employment, we buy nice cars, nice homes, we go on beautiful vacations. So much of activity, and there is so much material advancement, scientific and science and technological advancement. Despite all of this, we are not happy. We're trying to be happy, but we are not happy. So we're not happy with objects. We're not happy with people. So first we explored, people. If you look at our parents and grandparents' time frame, right? So they were mostly searching for happiness within the people. There were not so many gadgets or objects those times. There was no TV, no phone, not even landline telephone those days. So they were mostly finding happiness by associating with people. And now the era has changed. We are trying to find happiness in objects and gadgets. But no matter what we do, whether you look for happiness by associating with people or by associating with objects and gadgets, we're not happy. So, I mean, when two people, they want to be happy with each other, that itself is a conflict, right? So they both want to be happy. They both want to be happy. It's a conflict. So you cannot be happy in this material world. And then we try to dig the root cause why we are not happy. Okay, if there is God and God has created this problem, God has created this big mess in this world, maybe that's the reason why we are not happy. If so, why God has created such a big mess like this? So then the second topic was, does God exist? So we discussed, does God really exist? And we presented some scientific views about the origin of this existence, and then what Vedas say about the origin of this existence and what's the origin of life in this existence. And then before we can further understand about God, first we need to understand about ourselves. What is our true identity? Because understanding about God it's not so easy. It's very gigantic. We discussed some of the criteria for God, the definition of God. God is supreme creator, supreme proprietor, supreme controller, and supreme enjoyer. So he's the cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. That's what Bhagavad Gita and all other Upanishads say. Brahma Samhita says Sarva Karana Karanam. Okay. And then, so to understand such a big and gigantic personality, God, it's very difficult. It's humanly impossible. So first, if we try to understand our identity, our nature, then we can get glimpses of what God is like. So it's like if you're trying to understand a big ocean, it's very difficult. Whereas if you take a drop out of the ocean and analyze and try to understand that, it is possible. It is possible to understand the nature, the qualities of the water drop. And the water drop is not different from the ocean itself. Water drop is not different from the ocean itself. It is salty, and the ocean water is also salty. Similarly, if you understand the nature and the qualities of our individual identity, then we can understand about God. So that's where we began the session. And so who am I? I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I'm not a businessman, I'm not a designer. So these are all material designations. These are all man-made, temporary designations. I belong to this country, that country, I belong to this religion, that religion. These are all man-made religions. The so-called Hindu religion is man-made. There's no religion called Hindu in Vedas. There was a river called Sindhu, and people on the other side of the Sindhu, they could not pronounce Sindhu. They said Indu, and the Indu became Hindu. So we do not belong to any of the religions. We do not belong to any of these so-called local regions. And these are all bodily designations. I'm a man, woman, American, Indian, I'm a Hindu, Muslim. These are all bodily designations. So we do not belong to any of these bodily designations. So I'm quickly skimming through these slides because we already covered all these. Okay. So am I this body? No, we are not this body. There was a scientist who, in the early in the 20th century. So they studied the constituents of the body, and then they figured out that the body consists of these chemicals at a higher level, at a broader level. The body consists of these chemicals, and it's only worth of $20, unfortunately. That's the value of our body. So even though the chemicals in the body are only worth of $20, but our worth is not just $20. It has to be much more than that, because we do so many things. And we are very powerful. We are trying, in fact, in this material world, we're trying to become God. Everyone is trying to become God. So if the body is just worth of $20, or if we are worth of just $20, we cannot do anything that we are doing today. So who are we actually? We are a spirit soul. We are not the body. We are not this temporary body, but we are this spirit soul, which is eternal. Body is temporary, whereas spirit soul is eternal. And the definition of eternality is there's no beginning and there's no end. No one has created it, and nobody can destroy it. There was not, a time in the past where God has created all these souls. No, the definition of soul itself is eternal. Just like, okay, somebody, Madhav, can you open the door? Okay, just give us a second. Somebody came. Hare Krishna, Kalpana garu, friend. Hare Krishna, Jyoti and Sudhakar. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So Prabhu. So today I was thinking maybe we can start introducing Tilak to everyone. Yeah. So. Okay. We're just doing a recap of what we discussed last week. And by the way, we have a new person in the class, Basu. Basu. B. Yeah. So are you from Bengal?
No, I'm from Bangalore. My full name is Basavaraj.
Basavaraj. Okay. Yeah. Because Basu is mostly from Bengal, right? Yeah. Okay.
Is he here? In Kerala.
Kerala.
Yeah. So he's Sudhakar, Jyoti, and their two kids, Samet and I forgot your name. Yashita. Yashita. Okay. And we have Kalpana. Okay. By the way, happy Diwali, everyone. I know it's actually tomorrow, but this whole weekend, it's all Diwali time. Happy Diwali, Mahi and Madhu, Monica.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Same to you.
Yeah. Okay, so we are not the temporary body, but we are the eternal soul. Some people say, right? Why did God create, all of us? So some people say that God was alone once upon a time, and then long ago, God was alone. He was getting bored, and then he created all the living beings. Okay, that's not true. So the soul is eternal. God is also eternal. And the definition of eternality is there's no beginning, there's no end. Nobody can create them, nobody can destroy them. So both God and the individual living beings, they all existed, they coexisted eternally. Or they coexist eternally. Okay. So we cannot put a chronological point of view to understand God and souls. So we have to understand them from an ontological point of view. There is chronological and ontological. Chronological is you understand things based on a timeline. Okay, in 1980, so-and-so scientist discovered so-and-so law. And then in 20th century, somebody discovered some other law. 21st century, what are we going to discover? So like that, you understand things based on some timeline. Whereas you understand things in spirituality based on ontological concept. Chronological and ontological. Okay, you can Google later on. Ontological is a process of understanding things in relation with each other. So we can only understand our identity in relation with God. In relation with God. For example, let's say Madhav is kept in a room. Okay, in a small room, he's kept alone in a room. Now, Madhav is trying to understand himself. So he cannot understand about himself separately. He has to understand himself in relation with the place where he is in. So let's say he's in a small room, okay, in his bedroom. So he'll start his understanding by looking at things where he is. Okay, am, uh, inside these four walls, and maybe this is my room or my sister's room or something, he starts his understanding in relation with the room where he is in. Okay, let's say he's blindfolded and we take him to one of the rooms. Okay, in the same house, we take him to one of the rooms and we lock him and we ask him to try to understand. So he cannot understand himself separately, separate from anything else. He has to understand in relation with the room where he is in, the place where he is in. Okay, similarly, God is everywhere in this material world. So we cannot understand ourselves without any relation with God. Okay, similarly, the souls and God, they coexist eternally. They coexist eternally. Souls do not have any existence without God, without God's presence. Even though God has not created the souls, but souls do not have any existence without God. Okay. So we are the spirit soul, and we discussed a few points as to how we can prove the existence of the soul. So understanding the concept that we are not the temporary body, but we are the eternal soul is a theory. Okay, that's good. That is one thing, but realizing that knowledge is another thing. Okay, so how do we go about realizing the point that we are not the body, but we are the soul? We discussed few points. So does anyone remember what we discussed? We discussed 4 or 5 different points, how we can prove the existence of the soul.
When the body dies, right?
Yeah.
The body is there, but he cannot talk or something.
Okay.
That's a common sense.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, common sense. So yeah, common sense. Common sense. Using common sense, we can prove the existence of the soul. So if you see somebody died, or if you get a news that somebody has died, okay. So if you see the dead body in front of you, and if you think that the living being is nothing but only body, then the body is right there. And the body is right there. So why are you saying that the body has died, or the person has died? The person is only body, and the body is right there. Okay. But the same person, he cannot speak, as I said, he cannot speak, he cannot walk, he cannot talk, he cannot eat. So that means it's a proof that that person is something beyond the body. That person is beyond the body. Okay, so that is common sense. Next. Mahi, do you remember anything? How to prove the existence of the soul? Common sense is one.
Yes.
What is that?
Previous life memory.
Previous life memories. Okay. Okay. Before that, we discuss few other points. Mahi, you were saying something?
Oh no, actually, she said, yeah, actually, past memories.
Past life memories. Okay. Intuition. Yeah, very good. Intuition. Okay, you made notes. Huh? Good. That's good.
Symptoms.
Yeah. Intuition. Intuition and symptoms. Okay. So common sense, intuition, symptoms. Yeah. So intuition. So how do you prove the existence of the soul by intuition?
Previous memory.
No. That is a different method to understand, to prove the existence of soul.
Sixth
Yeah, sixth sense, intuition, without reasoning. So intuition means it's a process of understanding without much of a conscious effort and logical reasoning. Okay, when you see something or when you hear something, something clicks in your mind.
Right.
Okay, and then you get conviction. You start believing. So you don't put much conscious effort. You don't ask too many questions to before you believe that true or not. But you simply believe, and something clicks in your mind, and that's intuition, sixth sense. So how do you prove the existence of soul? By intuition. Samit, remember? You have been very attentive. So, intuition. Mahi, do you remember anything?
No.
Okay. Okay. So what's the other method? Symptoms.
Symptoms.
Yeah. Okay. So intuition is like, let's say when you hear a news, like somebody has died. Okay. So what do they say? He has died or she has died. Okay. So when they say he has died or she has died, and so who is that he or she? We know that it's not the body, but who is that he or she? They don't write like body has died, right? They don't write body has died. He has died or she has died. They give some, more specific identity to that. Okay, so let me bring up the slides. And so just like how we hear the news, if somebody has died, we hear the news, he has died or she has died, right? So similarly, when okay, let's say you want to describe the parts of your body. So you say my nose, my hand, my leg, my eyes, my mouth, and so on. You don't say I nose, I hand, I leg, I eyes like that. You say my. Okay. Similarly, you say my soul. Okay, you say my soul. Now, my body, my soul. Now, when you say my body, that means, before that, when you say my nose, the nose belongs to the body. And when you say my body belongs to the soul. Okay. So when you're describing the parts of the body, nose, ears, hands, and so on, they all belong. When you say my here, that means you are referring to the body. And when you are referring to the body and say my body, that means there is something beyond body where the body belongs to. When you say my nose, that means the nose belongs to body. When you say my body must be belonging to something other than body. Okay, so that's the process of intuition. And this is based on the symptoms. Okay, now common sense. We already discussed common sense. Yeah. And the other one is symptoms, right? Symptoms. So we understand many things in this material world based on the symptoms. There are gross elements and subtle elements. Gross elements we can see them, we can touch them, we can feel them, we can smell them, taste them, and then understand. But subtle things like air, ether, we don't see them, but we still believe in them because they exist, and they show some symptoms. So what is the symptom of the presence of air? How do you believe that air exists, even though you don't see it, but you believe that air exists? So how do you believe air exists?
We are breathing.
We are breathing, and then you can see fresh air, the trees, moving. So based on these symptoms, you believe that air exists. Similarly, there are several things in this material world that we cannot see, we cannot perceive with our senses, but still we believe in them based on the symptoms they exhibit. Similarly, soul, we can believe in soul based on the symptoms the soul exhibits. And what are the symptoms of the soul? What are the symptoms of the soul?
So that's the body one.
Okay, so how do you put it in one word? How do you put it in one word? Symptoms of the soul. Symptoms of the soul. So what is the symptom of the soul? Symptom of air is, okay, you're thinking, the trees are moving, and so on. Similarly, what is the symptom of soul?
Conscious.
Yes, very good. Yeah, consciousness. Correct. Conscious. Okay, the fact that you are conscious, that means there is soul inside you. Okay, consciousness is the symptom of soul. So when the consciousness is not there, that means there is no soul. And then we also discussed two other methods of proving the soul, right? Near-death experiences and past life memories. So the body undergoes changes, but the consciousness does not change. Consciousness does not change because the soul by nature is pure. Soul by nature is pure and not contaminated. Soul is full of the knowledge that soul belongs to God, part and parcel of God, and servant of God. Soul is fully aware of that. Soul has full knowledge, complete knowledge of that fact. But in a conditioned state, when the soul is conditioned in a bodily state, the soul forgets that. Okay, and the consciousness is covered. Consciousness is covered. Maybe some label. Yeah. So the consciousness is covered in a material body. And as we practice this bhakti yoga, and as we go through the purification process, that covering of the consciousness is removed, and then soul becomes fully aware of the true identity. Okay. So the previous verse where Bhagavad Gita so as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death.
Yeah, I think there are water meters, and you can just stay away from the water meters when you park, or you can park on there. He's from HOA.
Oh, he's from HOA. Okay. So yeah, so as this verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 13, it says, as the soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. So just like how our body undergoes changes from birth to childhood to youth to old age and death, similarly, the soul transmigrates from one body to another body at the time of death. Okay. Krishna gave different analogies, just like how we wear shirt, and then when the shirt becomes old, we discard that and wear new shirts. Similarly, the soul occupies one body, and then as the body gets old, the soul discards that old body and transmigrates to a new body.
Prabhu, one question. So
Yeah.
why don't we remember the soul's previous life memories?
Why don't we remember? Okay. Yeah, so we discussed that in the last week class also, but I'll cover that in a bit when we discuss about past life memories and near-death experiences. Okay. Yes, I come to your question. We'll come to that in a minute. We discussed this, right? Based on the symptoms. That's another example. Poison. Okay. And also sun. So even though we don't see the sun, I mean, we can see. If you want to go out and see the sun, you can see. But simply sitting inside the home, if you see sunlight, that means it's a daytime. That means there is sun. Based on the symptoms, you see, based on the symptoms, you say that sun exists. And these are the three faculties of consciousness. So consciousness is a symptom of the soul, and the three faculties that that are part of the consciousness are feeling, willing, thinking, feeling, and willing. So this is a three-step process that everyone goes through before they do any activity. Before they do any activity, whether it is a small activity or big activity. This is a three-step process everyone must go through. So thinking. So you start when you see something, you start thinking about it. Okay, before you actually do it, you start thinking about it. You contemplate, should I do it or not? And then feeling. Okay, you start developing more desire for that. Your desires become stronger and you feel for that. Okay, you feel about that activity or you feel about that person. And then finally willing. You are willing to do that activity. After some contemplation and after some, after developing some desire to do that activity, now finally you are willing to do that activity. So this is a three-step process that everyone goes through. And these are, other.
Are you sharing slides?
Oh, you're not seeing my slides?
No.
Okay, I stopped sharing for a minute. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm recording. Yeah, I'll share it later. And when there is no consciousness, when the soul has left the body, then you don't see any of these things. No emotions, no experience, no desires, no consciousness. No soul, no consciousness. There is another verse from Bhagavad Gita, that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, Krishna gives the qualities and attributes of the soul. There are about 20 verses in which Krishna describes the attributes and qualities of the soul. Like soul is eternal. No one can create the soul. No one can destroy it. No one can moisten with water, and no one can with fire. No one can cut with the sword. Like that, Krishna gives attributes and qualities of the soul. So we can discuss those things when we go to the systematic study of Bhagavad Gita after this, DYS, Discover Yourself. And in the very first session, we discussed the 8.4 million species of life. Okay, like animals, insects, reptiles, human beings, aquatics, and so on. There are 8.4 million species of life. And the species is categorized based on the consciousness. Among the 8.4 million species of life, there are 400,000 different varieties of human beings. 400,000 different varieties of human beings. Now, for our understanding, is human being means only one. 2 legs, 2 hands, 1 nose, two eyes, and so on. But there are 400,000 different types of human beings, and how they are categorized, how these 400,000 types of human beings are categorized, and how the overall 8.4 million species are categorized is based on the consciousness. Based on the consciousness. So when they say 400,000 different types of human beings, that includes the different types of human beings on different planets also. Not only earthly planet, but different planets. Svargaloka, Patalaloka, and so on. So Brahma has 3 heads. Shiva also, the Panchamukha, Panchamukha Shiva. So he has 5 heads. So like that, their consciousness is in a higher level. So based on the consciousness of the person,
they will go to
the species
that,
is categorized.
Lokas.
Yeah. As the consciousness evolves, they go to higher planets. And if the consciousness degrades, they go to lower planets.
I thought Svargalokam is one and Narkalokam is one. Only 2 lokas. And Patalaloka.
These are the 3 planetary systems. Okay. Earthly planetary system, heavenly planetary system, and lower planetary systems. So middle, higher, and lower. These are the 3 planetary systems. And within each planetary system, there are multiple planets. There are unlimited number of planets. Yeah.
Goloka also like that.
Goloka is in the spiritual world. Yeah, that's beyond these 3 planetary systems. These 3 planetary systems are in the material world. The Svargaloka, Bhuloka, and Patalaloka, they are part of material world. And Vaikunta, Ayodhya, Goloka, Vrindavan, they are all in spiritual world. Yeah, so there's material world and spiritual world. Material world has 3 planetary systems: Svargaloka, Bhuloka, and Patalaloka. And within each planetary system, there are so many planets. And similarly, in the spiritual world also, when they say Ayodhya Loka, there are so many planets in Ayodhya Loka. And Goloka, there are so many planets. Yeah.
With our good karma only, we can go to Goloka.
Not with good karma. We discussed that in the last class or the week before, right? It's not with good karma. Good karma does not nullify your bad karma.
Okay.
So that's the misconception people have, right? The common understanding is you need to have your balance sheet tallied at the end of your life. You need to have your balance sheet tallied. If you have 10 points on the bad karma side, you need to have 10 points on the good karma side. And when they tally, then you go to heavenly planets. But that's not true. So you have to suffer the consequences of bad karma points, and also you have to enjoy the results of good karma points. So both are separate.
But I heard like you can take your son's bad karma and you suffer by yourself. Like you can take it. Like
You can take it. Yes, that is possible. You can take it, but you have to suffer.
Yeah, I have to suffer, but he doesn't have to suffer.
Yeah. He doesn't have to suffer. And if he has any good karma, he has to enjoy the good results of the good karma. But both are binding. The good karma, bad karma, both are binding in this material world. They keep you bound to the material world. But what is our goal? Our goal is to get liberated and then to go back to Godhead. To go back to Golok Vrindavana or Vaikuntha, where we'll never return back to this material world.
Oh, if you go to Goloka, then
We won't return
back
back to,
again any
yeah.
100, 200 years after
Yes,
later.
we will never return back to this miserable material world.
Oh,
And how we can do that is by akarma. There is a process called akarma.
okay.
So there are three types of karmas: karma, vikarma, and akarma. We'll discuss that in detail later on. But just to give you a summary, karma, vikarma, and akarma. Karma means any activity that is performed as per the scriptural injunctions. So whatever is prescribed in the Vedas, if you do that, that is karma. That means you follow the rules and regulations and perform your activities. That is karma. Or in other words, say good karma. Okay. And then vikarma. Vikarma is bad karma. Any activity that is performed by violating scriptural injunctions is called vikarma, which is bad karma. So sinful activities, basically. So all sinful activities are vikarma. They are prohibited in Vedas. So if you perform those, then it is vikarma. You incur bad karma. And akarma. Akarma is activity that has no reaction. See, the karma and vikarma both have reactions. Good karma and bad karma both have reactions. If you perform good activity, you enjoy good results out of it. And if you perform a bad activity, you suffer the consequences out of it. So both have reactions. Whereas akarma, which is the third category, is that activity that does not have any reaction. That does not have any reaction.
Right.
Like all devotional activities, activities performed in devotional service, they belong to akarma. They do not have any reaction. They do not have any good or bad reaction, but they take you to spiritual world. They take you to spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavana or Vaikuntha, Ayodhya Loka, wherever. Yeah, based on your inclination and the mood that you are in. If you are in the mood of Radha and Krishna, then you go to Goloka Vrindavana. If you are in the mood of Rama and Sita, you go to Ayodhya Loka. If you are in the mood of Narayana and Vishnu, you go to Vaikuntha Loka. Like that, based on what you worship and based on who you worship, what mood you develop, you go to the corresponding lokas in the spiritual world. So scientists, they don't believe in soul. They say life means comes from chemicals. That's their understanding. So when Srila Prabhupada was here, when he was preaching in Western countries, so one day, one person came to Prabhupada and said, body is a mere composition of chemicals. Then Prabhupada asked him, so I'll give you all these chemicals. So can you create life out of it? Then he said, no, I cannot create life. So if you think that the body is, or the life is coming from chemicals, so why are you not able to create life out of chemicals? Okay. So body is not a mere composition of chemicals, but the scientists, even till today, they do not believe in the existence of soul. They do not even believe in the existence of mind. Okay, because anything that they cannot measure or prove, they don't believe. They just deny that. This is another verse from Bhagavad Gita. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He has not come into being. That means there was no birth. Nobody has created the soul. Okay. And does not come into being means soul will never die. And will not come into being means even in future, even after 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, even after time infinity, soul will never die. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Temporary body can be killed, but not the soul. So Krishna was giving all this knowledge of Atma Tattva to Arjuna to encourage him to fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Arjuna was bewildered and decided not to fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra because he was thinking that he was going to kill all his relatives who are standing on the opposite side of the battlefield. His teacher Dronacharya, his grandfather Bhishma Dev, all his cousins, relatives, maternal uncles, so many of his relatives were standing against him on the opposite side, ready to fight. And Arjuna is a great Kshatriya. So if he starts fighting, he would kill so many people on the other side. So he was not ready to fight. Then Krishna started giving knowledge of the soul, saying that what you are seeing is not the true identity of the people. They are all temporary bodies. One day they have to come to an end. They are all eternal souls. So you're actually not killing them, because you can never kill the soul. You're only killing these temporary bodies. So get up and fight. So Krishna was encouraging Arjuna with this knowledge. And this is another verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 22. Vasam sijirnani yata vihaya navani gruhnati naro parani tata sharirani anyati. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Okay, we just discussed this, right? And finally, these two methods, how we can prove the existence of the soul: near-death experiences and past life memories. So we discussed in the last class how there were some cases. There were limited number of cases, like 2000, about 2000 number of cases, where people who were on the verge of death, who were on the deathbed, either in the hospital or at home, they left the body, the soul left the body, saw the death and came back, and this person, the body, the same body, that the same person from the same body came back alive. For example, this picture here, it shows the doctors are performing some surgery. That person has some disease and the doctors are performing some surgery. And the soul left the body and then got an experience of death, came back into the same person, came back, same soul or same person came back, and then came alive from the same body. And then he told what the doctors were talking about when the doctors considered him to be dead. Okay. So near-death experiences.
So he's dead because that oxygen level and all those things showing 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And when the doctors concluded that he has died,
Okay.
and they were talking, like what to do next, right? So that person has gone, saw the experience of death, came back alive, and he started speaking and told what the doctors were talking at the time of death. So near-death experiences. It's a painful experience, not something that we should aspire for. It's a painful experience. And then past life memories. So in the near-death experience, near-death or out-of-body experience, NDE or OBE, that means the person has gone beyond this body and got an out-of-body experience that shows that there is something beyond body. So that's another way of proving the existence of the soul. Now, past life memories. Past life memories, there were again few cases where psychologists have verified, and these are all verified cases. They have studied, they have gone to their homes and verified. And these cases are all over the world, not only in India, but all over the world. But what we have, the data that we have is from NIMHANS from Bangalore. You're from Bangalore, right? You know the NIMHANS Institute. Yeah. So where they studied 2000 cases and they verified that they are true. Because sometimes people can bluff, right? Saying that, okay, I was the son of Bill Gates in the past life. Somebody can say, right? For money and all, they can say I was son of Bill Gates in the past life. But these are all verified, validated cases. For example, this small girl here, at the age of 2.5 years, she started, taking a pillow in her hand and then treating the pillow as a child. And then one fine day, she told her father, I want to go to this village. I want to go to my home, my old home. Father was confused. What is your old home? You're only 2.5 years old, and you have been living here in this home since your birth. Then she said, no, my old home, I'll show you the way. And then she showed the way, which train to take and how to go there. And she guided the father the complete path to go to that her home in the past life. And then when they all went there, there were few people sitting in the home. And then she directly pointed to one person and said, this was my husband in the past life. So everyone was shocked. And then she told so many intricate details, and that proves beyond doubt that that person was her husband in the past life. So
one question, right? So that wife and husband, right? They should born at the same time, right? But she's a child, and that he already married, right?
Yeah.
Time. Okay, so how is that age difference comes?
How is that age difference?
Yeah.
No, let's say that person who is in that house, that old house, right? So let's say he's 40 or 50 years now. Okay. And this girl who was his husband, his wife in the past life, let's say she died at the age of 45 or so. And then now she took a birth, and after 2.5 years, she started remembering her past life.
Okay.
So that person is still 50 years old. Whereas this girl, she died at the age of 45 in the previous life.
Okay. And then again she born.
She took birth again, and then after 2.5 years, she started remembering. Yeah. So this proves beyond doubt that there is something beyond the body. Okay. She's able to remember past life. That means there is something beyond the body. Okay. There is something beyond the body where this remembrance of past life is available, and that is subtle body. So there is gross body and subtle body. gross body consists of, actually we'll discuss that in the few slides later, what are the constituents of gross body and subtle body. So I think we stopped here in the last class. We discussed these 5 different methods of proving the existence of the soul, and then this is where we stopped. So we know that we are not the temporary body, but we are the eternal soul, and there are 5 different methods to prove the existence of the soul. But still, are we seeing the soul? No, we are not seeing the soul. We are not seeing the soul, but we believe in the existence of the soul. Just like fire in the wood. You see the wood, but you don't see the fire right now. But there is a process by which you can see the fire out of wood. You burn the wood, you light up the wood with a matchstick or something, and then the fire comes out of it. Ghee in milk. So the same milk, it undergoes transformations. Milk becomes buttermilk, and then buttermilk becomes the butter, and the butter becomes ghee. It's a transformation. Same milk goes through all these transformations. Similarly, soul goes through transformations of different bodies, but soul does not change. Even scientists, electrons, protons, neutrons, can they actually see those?
No.
What do you say, Bas?
I thought they could, but
That's what we thought, but no, they don't.
oh, they can see, right? What? They can see, right? The electrons they can see with microscope.
No, with microscope, with tools.
Yeah.
No, even with microscope, what they see is something, and what they're naming or calling is something.
No, but by which they find electricity, like they move electron from positive to negative. That's why they found it, right? They can see a little bit, I think. Yeah.
Do they actually see?
Microscope.
With microscope also. Do they actually see?
So in one of the books, I think in our textbooks only, so there was a picture of what they could best see, at best could see.
Yeah.
And that was also not electrons or protons. There was like atoms, very blurry, some dots.
Yeah.
Like, very blurry dots. Don't know. They say, I think these are atoms.
Yeah.
There is nothing like, at least cell and amoeba and all these they can see, but they consist of millions of atoms, right?
Yeah. So our understanding is, when scientists talk about electron, proton, neutron, so we put a Pictionary image, right? So just like the M&M, you know M&M? Or in India, gems, right? Gems. So they consist of colorful, these candies. So that's our fictional imagination. Okay, electrons, protons, they look like these M&M, candies. That's our understanding, and we think that scientists also might have seen this with the microscope.
Yeah, the diagrams that we draw of atom, there is a nucleus and things revolving. Nobody has seen that.
Yeah.
That's their assumption based on observation.
It's an assumption. Yeah.
Should be like this.
Yeah, they might have seen something, some blurry, as Prabhu said, some blurry image
That's what they're talking
of
about
different.
atoms. They're not talking
They are not talking about
electron
maybe.
to atom, there is no image.
Yeah.
There is no
The
image.
image also that we see, it's like a very
It's just like
key dot
if
somewhere.
you
Yeah.
point your if you just look at the stars with the a basic
Telescope.
binocular, you just see like
Some dots.
that dot that we see a little bigger dot but more blurry.
Yeah.
So it's that image only.
And that's how we see atoms. So imagine when you really see
Yeah.
electrons and protons.
Yeah, with your naked eye, you may not be able to see the stars, but if you use a normal binocular or an ordinary telescope, you may be able to see some sort of
Blurry
image.
images. Some blurry dots.
Yeah, and these days the phones are very smart. They can even tell whether it is Jupiter or whatever, right? So it shows a color and
Jupiter, Saturn, we have seen a lot.
yeah.
So for Adams, we get Nobel Prize, right? Even they say blurry also, they get Nobel Prize.
They get Nobel Prize. Yeah. Hmm. So, and this is another shloka from Bhagavad Gita. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So differences between body and soul. Body is made up of matter, and spirit soul is made up of Sat Chit Ananda. So just like this body, gross body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the gross elements the body is made up of. Similarly, soul is made up of the three components, Sat, Chit, Ananda. These are the three components body soul is made up of. When you go to spiritual body, the spiritual world, you acquire a spiritual body. The soul leaves the material body behind, and then when the soul goes to spiritual body, spiritual world, soul gets a spiritual body.
So different body.
Yeah, spiritual body that is made up of Sat, Chit, Ananda.
Sachidananda.
Sachidananda. Yeah, that's where this comes from. So Sat means eternal, Chit, conscious or full of knowledge. Soul is full of knowledge that the soul is part and parcel of God and servant of God. That's the knowledge. Okay. And Ananda, blissful. Whereas in the material world, the body is made up of matter, earth, water, fire, air, ether, the gross elements, the Pancha Mahabhuta, they're called. And what are the attributes of this matter? Asat, Achit, Nirananda. Body is temporary. Body, it's by itself is not conscious, and body is devoid of any bliss. There is some happiness in the temporary material world, but it's not the bliss. It's not the true happiness. It's a flickering happiness. You're happy for some time and not happy the other time. Whereas soul is always happy. Soul is always happy. That's why in the material world also, we're trying to become happy all the time. But we cannot be. But we cannot be happy always. Soul is indestructible, whereas Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha, Na Chainam Kledayantyapo, Na Shoshayati Marutaha. Soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind, I guess. Yeah. Soul is individual. Soul is indestructible and individual. Natve vaham jatu nasam, natvam neme janadipa, na chaiva na bhavishyamaha, sarve vayam atapharam. Never was there a time when I did not exist. So Krishna is saying this to Arjuna. Krishna is telling, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor any in the future shall any of us cease to be. So this is a shloka where Krishna is saying, both you and I, we all coexist. We existed in the past, we exist now in the present, and we will continue to exist in future. Eternal. Spirit soul does not undergo any transformations. So this is the third one. Soul is indestructible, soul is individual, and soul does not go undergo any transformations. The body undergoes transformations from birth to,
Okay.
so the body that we had at birth is not different, is totally different at the time of our childhood. And the body that we have in youth is totally different from what we had in the childhood. And the body in the old age is completely different from the time prior to that. And all the cells in the body, they change every 7 years. Every 7 years, you are a new person. You're completely a new person. So all the cells, even the cells in the brain also change after 7 years. Earlier, scientists did not say that brain cells change after 7 years, but now
Because of that,
they came back.
our thinking will change. మనం అంటాం కదా, ఏ పర్సన్ సేమ్ గా ఉంటుంది, they can change, and because of that
It changes little bit. That's why they call maturity, right? As a person grows older, there is some maturity. So because brain cells also change, the way you think, the way you perceive things, that changes. Yeah.
So every 7 years, the DNA changes from the cell. Or
Not DNA.
Mature or what? Old age is coming. What is changing?
The cells keep dying every time, right? The cells, individual cells have like very short life.
Right.
So they will die and new cells, body will keep on forming new cells. So in that sense, every 7 years, the cells with what you have today, 7 years back, none of those cells were there. That's what it means.
Yeah. It's a new cell, brand new cell, you can say. So even now, right, there are some dead cells in our body. And for example, when a cancer patient undergoes chemotherapy, it kills those bad cells. Bad cells means they are not they have some free radicals. Okay, so they have some free radicals, and they are not useful. They are harmful for the body. So chemo, it kills those bad cells, but chemo also kills the good cells.
Oh,
Okay, that's the side effect of chemotherapy. So it also kills good cells. So, and by natural process, our cells in the body every 7 years, they change completely.
but why I become old?
Why we become old?
Yeah, because every 7 years I'm getting new ones, right?
Yeah.
Then I should be young all the time, right?
You want
That's
to be
no, the cells change, brand new cell. It does not mean, let's say when you are 7 years old, you get the structure of the cells that you had at the time of birth. The structure changes. Because as per the age, the structure changes. Brain cells also, right? They become mature. It's a new cell, but it's a matured cell. So you get new cells every 7 years. The cell completely, is like a new cell, but it's a matured cell. Just like brain cells are matured, similarly, the other cells in the body, they are aged cells. You can say aged cells.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
can say this.
for a word of-
The saying just comes like it appeared in my head. So just like we were saying DNA, and we know that DNA doesn't change. So
Yeah.
probably we can say that the information is not gone, but the cell changes. So
Yeah.
information that your body is now 10 years old,
Yeah,
that information will be carried forward.
yeah,
The DNA is basically the information, right?
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, actually, there is this. Even scientists, they are not able to explain where does memory reside. We are made up of cells. Then if memory resides in cells, and every 7 years all the cells are changed, how is memory getting carried forward?
Okay.
They're not
Yeah.
able to explain.
Because they
There's
don't-
no data transfer mechanism there. Okay, new cells are forming. I'll transfer the data what I had.
yeah,
It's not. They're not
because
able to
they do
explain.
not have knowledge about the subtle body.
Yeah, in fact, there are some theories that your memory do not reside in your cells; they reside around you,
Oh, outside.
outside the body. I mean, in our scripture, we can say there is a subtle body, but they don't. They just come up with theories.
Yeah,
Baba, I should pray
so
that
they don't have an understanding of subtle body, where
Yeah.
this memory, and mind, they don't have understanding of mind, right?
Mhm.
So mind, I mean, there are some scriptures that say mind resides in the heart region. Just like soul resides in the heart region, mind also is in the heart region. Okay.
And somebody told like the cell is more powerful than brain. In terms of
Cell is powerful than?
Yeah, brain. Mind.
Cell is powerful than brain?
Yeah, somebody told like that. Like because
No.
cell can have more capacity, more intelligence.
See,
more
brain is what? It's a group of cells. Any organ in your body, it's just a group of cells. So how can one cell can be powerful than that organ itself? So brain is one organ. How can the cell in the organ can be more powerful than the organ itself? Yeah. So anything, we are saying this is hand, but what is this? It's a group of cells. It's a collection of some 10 billion cells. Our body consists of some 2 or 3 trillion cells. Yeah. So this is another shloka from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2 again. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva babita va na bhuya ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Okay, so I want somebody to read this. Basu, can you read it?
Yeah, for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and premier. He is not slaying when the body is slain.
Yeah. So basically that shloka says that just like how the body undergoes changes, soul does not undergo any changes. Now, another attribute of soul is infinitesimally small. It's so small that it's so minute that even scientists cannot see it with their microscope. In Manduka Upanishad, there is a shloka, Keshagra Shatabhagasya Shatada Kalpitasya cha. So this shloka describes the size of the soul. So Keshagra Shatabhagasya. Kesha means hair. Keshagra means the tip of the hair. Shatabhagasya. So you take the tip of the hair and cut into 100 pieces. Can you imagine that? Hair itself is small. Tip of the hair is even more smaller. And then when you cut that tip into 100 pieces, that is even much smaller. And then you take one of those small pieces, 100 pieces, and then cut into 100 more pieces. So technically nothing remains. Keshagra shatabhagasya shatada kalpitasya cha. So basically 1/10,000th the tip of the hair. 1/10,000th size of the tip of the hair.
Is our soul?
Hmm?
Is our soul?
That's the size of the soul. Yeah. So you take the tip of the hair and cut into 100 pieces first, and each of those 100 pieces you cut into another 100 pieces. So 1/10,000th the size of the tip of the hair.
So even if you get like magical powers, you still cannot do anything, right?
You cannot see the soul.
No, I get magic. So I did meditation, I got magical powers. I can see anything, I can do anything, right? For example, even that power is in front of life negligible, right? Right?
So where is that power coming from?
It's coming from God only.
Yeah.
But our soul is very tiny, right?
Yeah.
So compared to his power, my power is very less, right?
Yeah. So you go to an ocean, you take one drop, or you take a gallon of water, or you take a full tank of water. Still, it is not comparable to what is in ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, some sages do some magic. So I do this, I do that.
Yeah.
But still, that power is very negligible compared to him, right?
Yeah. See, if you ask a poor person on Mumbai streets, and if you tell him the richness or wealth of Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, it'll be so bewildering to that person. How can that a person be so rich? How can a person have so much wealth? It'll be so much bewildering to that person who is on the Mumbai streets. But it is possible. We see so many insects in the nature, right? Many of them are very short-lived. For example, the fireflies. The firefly takes birth, and then it searches for fire. It goes near the fire, and then makes some noise, and then jumps into the fire and then dies. So technically, the life of a firefly is 1 minute, 2 minutes. Such a short-lived insect. Now, if you go and tell that short-lived insect that human beings' life is 100 years. So what can that firefly understand? What 100 years is like? Because the firefly's understanding is only 1 minute or less than a minute.
Yeah.
So whereas human being 100 years, and what to speak of Brahma's life, 3.2 trillion years. Now we cannot even comprehend. I mean, the other day I saw a video where there's a person who is still alive 200 years. Some saintly monk somewhere in the world. I don't know where, in India or where. He's still alive. Saintly monk, 200 years. Now we cannot imagine that. We cannot comprehend that. How can somebody live 200 years? So similarly, the power of God is infinite, whereas the power of living beings is infinitesimal. So that is Vibhu, and we are Anu. Anu is very minute. So minute that it's negligible. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Now, when we look at things in our life, right, how do we perceive them? When there is a problem or when some situation happens, we think that it's the end of the world. We perceive things as if the world is going to end. But what does that problem, or what is your life in relation to the eternality of your life and in relation to the eternality of all other living beings' lives? And what does that mean in relation with the life of God? Nothing. It does not mean anything. Your entire life, 100 years, it's like a small mustard seed on in Bothell, you see all the power lines outside, right? So in other cities like Samamish, you don't see power lines outside. But in Bothell, you see all power lines outside. Long, like they almost look like infinity, never-ending lines. So just imagine that power line, and your life is small mustard seed on the power line. It's so insignificant. And within that life, when a problem happens or when a situation happens, it's even more insignificant. But we look at things in a magnifying glass and make them big and start worrying. So before we discuss further, I just want to get back to the online people to see if they are still awake. Mahi,
Yes.
are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay. Madhu and Monica, are you still there?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
You all have names starting with M.
Hmm.
Discuss the example of M and M.
Madhu and Monica.
What?
And Mahi.
Madhu, Monica, and Mahi.
M and M, yeah. So, yeah. Okay, good. You are still awake. Samit, are you awake? Okay. Okay. Soul is situated in the region of the heart. So somebody asked a question. If the soul is, no, some understanding says that soul is in the heart itself. Soul is in the heart itself. So then one lady asked, so what happens in case of heart transplantation? When they transplant the heart, when they bring the heart from another person's body and then put it here, so does the soul also migrate? So then the correction is soul does not reside within the heart, but in the heart region. In the heart region.
I think the idea is that in the center of the body.
The center of the body. Yeah, that's the sitting place. Okay, that's the sitting place. We'll discuss this verse 2.22. And then there is super soul also. There are two souls in the body. There is soul and super soul. Soul is Atma, super soul is Paramatma. Now we discussed the size of the soul, right? The size of the soul is? How much? Tiny, okay, but how much? 1/10,000, the tip of a hair. Okay. Now super soul is even more smaller than that. Super soul is even more smaller than that. Paramatma. Yeah.
Oh, I remember somewhere.
That the super soul is bigger than soul.
No, the size of the thumb or something.
Yeah. No, that's not true. Super soul is even smaller than small soul.
Why you call it super?
The size is smaller,
Okay, but the power.
but the power is much more. Yeah, that's why super. Yeah. Now I also heard that some people say size of the super soul is size of the thumb. No, it's smaller than super soul. So smaller than soul. Yeah.
When we say that, at the time of death, soul departs.
Mhm.
So, and we also know that soul is always accompanied by super soul, Paramatma.
Yeah.
So, does that soul and super soul also transmigrate together, or how does it work?
So soul transmigrates, and super soul,
Stays with its soul all the time,
yeah, super soul stays with the soul all the time.
even after that.
Now it's not like the super soul does not transmigrate, just like how soul is transmigrating, right? Super soul, there's nothing like transmigration for super soul.
No, I understand that concept, but
Yeah.
then because the super soul is always with the soul, so even for the the journey of the soul when you going from one body to another body, and that duration, somebody said that it takes almost a year for a body to get into the next body. He has to go through so many doors,
Yeah.
So does during that time also Paramatma as a company?
No, during that time, the soul carries the subtle body only.
And
No Paramatma. Yeah, no Paramatma. Yeah. No Paramatma.
When
So,
we take again birth, that time only with the soul, super soul will join with us.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, during the journey, that 1 year, yeah, super soul does not accompany. Yeah, it's a soul and the subtle body.
So where do they go?
We discussed, right? They go through. See, if you are a devotee, if you have practiced devotional service in this life, then you get. I mean, if you have perfected, then you go to spiritual world. Okay, there's no birth after that. But if you have not achieved perfection, then you are given a chance again in the next life, human life. You'll get a human life, but before getting a human life in the next birth, so you still go through these 12 Yamapuris, and then you are checked. Okay, if this person has done these things or not, this person has done these things or not, all those things, and then
What they will Check
At the end of 1 year, you go take a next life.
Account.
Checklist they have. What is the checklist?
What is the checklist? You read Garuda Purana and you will know that. Garuda Purana actually told by Vishnu only. Vishnu narrated Garuda Purana to Garuda. So, but when we hear the word Garuda Purana, it's so horrible, right? The description is so horrible. We think it's not Vaishnava Purana. We think it's some ghastly Purana or some, Bhuta Preta Pishacham type of Purana. It's a Vishnu Purana actually. It's a Vishnu Purana narrated by Vishnu himself. Yeah, Garuda Purana has all this description. What happens at the time of death and what happens after death, all those things. How much time does it take to the soul?
They give checklist.
Yes. Yeah, they give description of what is asked at each Amapuri and how much time for the soul, how much time it takes to get the next life and what happens during the initial 12 or 13 days. Initial 12-13 days, the soul wanders in the same place where the death happens. That's why they say it's very important for
Even
all
though
the.
we don't have attachment, it still wanders.
It still wanders. The initial 12 days, it still wanders. That's why it's very important for all the children to be present in the place where the death happened. Let's say somebody's father or mother died, right? So for the children, it is very important. It is must. There's no other option. There's no second option.
You must go.
To go and be in that place where the death happened.
If they died in the hospital.
If they died in the hospital, if they died in the hospital, okay, so maybe I need to check this. It's either the place of the death or the body itself. Actually, I think it's the body.
Where the body is kept.
It's the body where the body is kept. Where the body is
The
kept.
main reason why they say that the ladies or the women don't go to the
Crematorium.
crematorium is because the soul is there with the body, and it is so attached, and the fire sacrifice, not the fire sacrifice, I mean the crematorium.
The Dahan Samskar.
Dahan Samskar happens in putting it into the fire is also because it's better for the soul, so that it gets detached from the body, from his body itself.
Yeah.
So he's in that crematorium. He's not in that moment, not in the house.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, even when the body is kept at the house,
Then
the
that
soul wanders.
yes, around the body. So
Around the
that's-
body.
Yeah.
But no, that's still a question. That question is still open. So let's say on the first day or second day, the body is cremated. There's no body now, but still the soul wanders for the 12 days.
Yeah.
The soul wanders. I think it wanders in the house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where,
I
Before the
have
hospital,
heard,
where
before death, where the person lived.
but I have heard this. I don't know. I don't have any references. I just heard from someone probably. But then I have it in my head. So I heard that the soul, because now it's in, it has a speed of the mind.
Yeah.
Now that because it is in the soul form now, so it can even travel like at the blink of thoughts.
Yeah.
So even if he wants to visit, or some of the relatives who could not be there or whatsoever, and he wants to visit and see, then he does that.
Mhm.
And I've heard that soul does that if relatives or even family members who couldn't be there during the last time of the
Yeah.
death.
Mhm.
So he wanders around. He even goes around and just to see his relatives and friends. I'm
Yeah.
not sure though.
Yeah. So what I heard is the soul wanders in the home. That's why they perform all these rituals, right? For the 12 days.
Yes.
Every day there is a ritual.
Yes.
Every day there's a different ritual for the initial 12-13 days. And then on 13th day, there is a grand ritual at the home. It should be performed at the home actually. Some people, they take a venue outside and they perform outside, but it should be performed at the home. So
I don't know if
because the attachment is more with the home and the family members.
exactly. So when we talk about family members, I think it is more the wandering or the location of the wandering of the soul is probably with the relatives or where the rituals are being taken. They're being performed rather than particularly that home. I don't know.
Yeah.
because some people do it at temples, some people do it at venues, as you said.
Yes.
And we've also heard that soul wanders around and goes and meets the relatives.
Yeah.
So it could be that it's mostly with the people and where the rituals are being performed.
Yeah. Yeah. That is also true. When some people perform rituals at the crematorium, actually.
Yeah.
After the body is cremated, for the next 12, 13 days, they go to the crematorium and perform rituals. And soul actually goes there during that time. So, yeah.
Although I don't know if it is relevant also knowing this.
Yeah.
It's just important is that being with at the time of death, being there.
Being there is important.
Being there is important.
Yeah.
And performing the rituals is important.
Rituals. Yeah. So, and being a person has so much attachment to the place, to the home where they live before death. That's mostly, even after the rituals are performed. I mean, you perform the ritual in the morning, right? Every day morning for the next 12 days. You perform the rituals in the morning. And then during the rest of the day and night, the soul still wanders within the house. Okay, that's where the attachment is.
A lot of death also happens away from the city.
Yeah.
Somebody is away from the country, away from death happens there.
Yeah.
So then everything will happen in that newer place, not in the original home.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we can connect it with the actual home where he lived forever.
Yeah, he'll be most attached to the place where he had spent his life.
Yeah. Most of the
attached, but then what I'm trying to say here is, but then the wandering location of the soul cannot be attached, cannot be fixed with his place
his
of
home
dwelling.
only. Yeah. Let's say somebody came
location.
from India to US and they spent 6 months here. So their attachment is during the last, most recent time, the attachment is to the home in US.
Yes.
So probably this is where the person may be wandering.
Because the rituals will be performed here, the crematorium or the cremation and everything will be performed here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably will be here.
Yeah. So Garuda Puran has all these details.
After that,
Somebody
13 days only, soul will move to
will start
journey.
yeah, will start
After
the
that,
journey.
only the door that we're talking, I think the first door opens. That's what Garuda Puran says.
Yeah.
The first door opens where the soul can actually enter.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that door, until then, the door is not open for him to enter.
Oh,
Yeah.
Before 13 days.
Yeah.
13 days. Yeah.
13 days.
One more doubt I'm having.
Mhm.
If somebody they do self-killing or something,
Suicide.
suicide or something. Put చెప్తారు కదండి, soul will be here, they didn't get mukti, do something. అప్పుడు వాళ్ళ soul రెడీగా ఉండదా?
So suicide is more horrible than the miseries that they are going through in life. See, why somebody will commit suicide? Because their life was so bad that they could not tolerate and they committed suicide, thinking that if I stop my life, then I don't have to suffer. But the suffering after suicide, after death, is more painful than the actual pain that they were going through before death, before suicide. Because the soul still has desires, right? And after suicide, the soul does not get a gross body
because of suicide.
because of suicide. Okay, let's say the lifespan given to a person is 40 years. 40 years. Now, a person has committed suicide at the age of 20 years. That means the remaining 20 years, the soul does not have any gross body.
Oh, they need to suffer here.
Yes, just wanders at a certain level.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
so I have a question. So what is the probability of like soul wandering like forever on the earth? Like not getting, to go on into whatever the loka.
So what's the possibility of soul wandering in the material world forever?
Yeah, yes. Like I heard like so many stories like
No.
Atma ki shanti ledu, so it is wandering. You need to do something, or the Atma trying to affect other people who has done wrong to them when they were living.
No. So there is no there's nothing like soul wandering in the material world forever. So soul, after some time, it takes a new body in the next life, and then the journey goes on. So in case of suicide, whatever lifespan remaining, during that time, there's no gross body. Still, the desires are there. The hankering is still there. That I want to eat this, I want to do that, I want to go there, I want to go here. All those hankerings are there. But the soul cannot do anything because there's no gross body to perform those activities. So the suffering is even more painful than the actual pain they were going through before suicide. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
If we perform any kind of puja also, they won't get mukti and
Mahi, 1 second. Yeah.
if we perform any puja, if any person did suicide, if we do any powerful puja also, they won't get mukti.
Probably there are some rituals by which you can pacify that soul, and maybe, I'm not sure.
I think
Yeah.
we can only, as I have heard also, until, basically why they have to wander in that state of soul is also because everything has a, like Prabhu was saying, you have a, let's say you have 40 years of lifetime. And your next body is actually being prepared.
Okay.
So unless your body is prepared, and if the soul leaves the body, until your body is ready, where will you enter?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, valid point.
So yeah, so that if you finish your life, if you end your life before your time, and your new body is not even ready, then you have to wander like the soul.
Okay.
And in that state, as Prabhu is saying, desires are there, and you don't have the gross body to fulfill those desires, so your condition is even miserable, like very, very miserable. So committing suicide is worse than living a very miserable life.
Yeah, it's like there's a gulab jam right in front of you, but your hands are tied and you cannot eat that. So that's even more painful than not seeing gulab jamun, in front of you.
Even accident also similar case, right?
No.
Suicide and accident, similar case, right?
No, accident.
Because he also did not complete. Suppose
He did not complete. I mean, he did not commit suicide,
But he said
but that's the end of his life. That's the end of his life.
But it was destined.
It was destined.
That's how much his life was supposed to be.
I know. Suppose there are 40 people in the bus, all are same, maybe.
Yeah.
అలాంటి వల్ల ఆ బస్సులో
And
ఎవరికైతే లైఫ్ టైం అయిపోవచ్చిందో వాళ్ళందరూ
ఆ bus లో ఎక్కి-
ఒక్కరికి ఫుల్ లైఫ్ ఉన్నా కానీ వాళ్ళందరూ
Survive.
సర్వైవ్ అవుతారు.
and
Maybe all.
If a person-
one survivor.
and if a person life has not ended, if they are destined to be alive, even if there is a massive crash accident, that person will survive. And I'll send you a video after this class. I'll send you a video where there was a lady. It was a recent incident, actually, a couple of years ago in Western countries, maybe in US or somewhere. An old lady, she was driving a car, and that car was hit by a huge truck. And if you see that video, nobody can believe that she survived. And then she just got out of the car with small injuries, and then she cried, help, help, help. She was normal. She was not even taken to the hospital, and very normal. But if you see that video, that the picture of that accident,
No one can survive.
nobody can believe that this person has survived. Even the emergency people who came there, they all said it's an act performed by angels. They don't say God and those things, right? They say it's an act of angels. Yeah, they also concluded that this is the first time we are seeing like this in our entire history of our experience. This must be an act of angels. So that person's life has not ended. That's why, even though it's a massive crash, I mean, the car became like this. Car became like this, but the person is alive.
So in the case of the weak souls, right?
Yeah.
So suppose you are you have willpower like 0%, for example,
Yeah.
then that's kind of, then they commit suicide, and so basically that's a weak soul, okay? And if there is a evil soul, they can enter into his body actually. And then that evil soul can direct you all the things to do in this world. Like,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
We're talking different topic. Yeah.
Yes,
So
that is also there. Evil souls can enter into another body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is also there. That's why it is very important to follow the Dahana Samskara rituals.
No,
Perfectly.
like
Yeah.
perfect, like in this world, you have to be at least to favor to God or do something else. But basically, like you don't do anything, and then kind of feel like you're a dead person, like, right? So anybody can enter your body.
Yeah.
And then they can do whatever the things they want to do. Yeah.
I mean, evil souls can enter the body, but there are some criteria when an evil soul can enter body. It cannot enter any body.
No, it cannot enter me because I'm very strong to devotion to God or something.
Yeah.
And I have a strong
So if you are pious and devotional, then it cannot. So even normal things, right? They say, right? For example, if you don't cut your nails, okay, then they say ghostly elements can come and reside in you. Yeah. So not a dead body, right? Even a live body.
Person also,
yes, living person also they can
enter it.
They can occupy.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't cut nails or if you're not clean, those things. Evil. Not evil soul. There is nothing like evil soul, good soul or bad soul.
Yeah, and the bad anybody can enter.
Yeah. Evil person. Yeah. Mahi, you were saying something?
Is that really true?
Which one? The soul occupying another living body?
Yeah. If we don't cut the nails. Oh.
Oh, that one. Yes. She's very good.
What is the definition of long?
No, that's
So,
a fashion, right?
it's
very big.
Yeah.
It's a fashion, like for ladies and least, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the ghost may not come and reside in you, but the evil elements will reside in you. See, if you keep your home clean and even the front yard of your home clean, then it welcomes all auspiciousness. Similarly, if you're not clean and if you don't cut your nails, for example, there are so many other things, but cutting nails is one example.
Energy, we can say.
Then you attract negative energy.
Yeah.
Evil forces. And if you are so bad, then a ghost also can come and occupy your body.
And then it can direct you whatever
Yes.
you can do, right?
Yeah.
And it's out of control.
So Prabhu, we understand that these ghostly souls entering, but then I don't know if it is true. Just coming into my head, so asking me this question. We have seen so many in India, especially. Some people will say Mata Agi. Mata as in goddesses or the deities, demigods.
Yeah.
So those are not evil souls, but those entering into human body. How does that? How can we connect this here?
Just like how we discussed, right? If you keep the home clean and the front yard of the home clean, it attracts auspiciousness. Similarly, if a person is so pious and so devotional inclined, then it's possible that that particular demigod can occupy the body and give some experience.
So in such cases, if it is true and it is possible, in such cases when they say that some demigod entered, is this a good thing to happen, or it is like, because usually I don't know, it feels, or probably influence of the movies, it feels very scary.
It feels scary, there are different types of demigods, right?
God is fine.
I forgot the specific name, but
Scary god, scary mata, Kalika, Kali mata.
Yeah, there's a specific name. I'm trying to recollect that. Okay, so for discussion's sake, let's put evil and good and evil forces of demigods. Okay.
Basically, when we're talking about evil forces, we're talking about in a like they appeared, or their job is to sanghar. For example, Kali Maya.
A mode of passion, basically mode of passion and mode of goodness. Okay, let's put it that way. Okay, demigods, mode of goodness and mode of passion. So if you attract a devata, a devi, who is in the mode of passion, yeah, then what they show in the movies, right? It can be a scary experience. The person may have a scary experience, and for others who are seeing also, it's a scary experience. Whereas if they attract demigods who are in the mode of goodness, they get a good experience, peaceful experience. Yeah. And they'll be able to tell about the future of other people. And we have seen, right, in India, there are people like that. There are people like that. Yeah. So that is also there if you attract people in the mode of goodness.
So basically, even like demigods they can enter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it has two souls now.
Yeah.
Two?
Yeah, there are two souls. Two souls means the subtle body, not the soul itself, right? The subtle body.
Then
Subtle body enters.
in our soul, Paramatma is there, right?
Yeah.
Super soul. How they are accepting those?
Paramatma is all the time, he's just watching, witnessing what you are doing. They are like two souls.
They won't do anything.
Yeah, they are like two birds sitting on the same branch of a tree. Soul and super soul, Atma and Paramatma, Jivatma, Paramatma. They are like two birds sitting on the same branch of the tree. So Paramatma is always watching, witnessing what you are doing. He does not interfere. He's always witnessing what you are doing.
Our good or bad?
Yes, both.
Both.
Yeah,
Okay.
all your activities, Paramatma is always witnessing.
Okay.
And based on
In
what
our
you
super
do
soul
in this
only
life,
Chitragupta.
yeah. So this Paramatma relates it to Chitragupta, where he maintains the accounts. So the inter-Paramatma communication happens, and then Paramatma in us and Paramatma in Chitragupta, they both communicate, and then the account is maintained. So yeah, he's simply watching, and Paramatma is he's witnessing and waiting also. He's witnessing whatever you are doing, and he's also waiting for you to turn to him. Because all the time we are busy doing so many things, but we are not looking at Paramatma. That means we're not looking inside, we're not looking within, we're not looking at Paramatma. Paramatma is always waiting, witnessing and waiting for the soul to turn to him, so that he can give dictation and the soul can follow that. So,
At least minimum we have to worship God. Otherwise, you are like a weak soul. Like, it's like a dead body, like just living and dead body.
yeah.
Dead soul.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. I think we have a couple of slides, so we'll finish that quickly. And when Srila Prabhupada was there in the Western countries, so once he was given a building, old building, and then people warned him, saying that please do not enter that building, because it is heard that it's a haunted place and there are ghosts haunting in that place. And then Srila Prabhupada actually went there, and then he chanted Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then
In the haunted house.
In the haunted house, and then he liberated that that ghost. Yeah, so that ghost got a new body. Yeah. So next one.
They agreed with the Srila Prabhupada. Somebody might be there that they agree. Soul is their goodness and
Who agreed?
with Prabhupada, You said right, Prabhuji.
So in that haunted place,
In that haunted place, bad soul is there.
Yeah.
So that ghost entered another body.
Yeah.
So in Western countries, they won't accept it. They won't see. Like with Srila Prabhupada, there might be some persons, right?
Yeah, and they were his followers. Western
Okay.
people only, but his followers.
Okay.
So who knew, who read Bhagavad Gita from him and who understood Bhagavad Gita from him? Western followers. Yeah.
So how was this bad soul created in the first place?
Bad soul.
Like,
So
yeah, like why do they haunt? Like, what is this concept of like bad soul or
so two reasons.
evil soul?
Yeah, two reasons, right? Why there are haunted souls or ghosts. There are two reasons. One is if the karma kanda rituals are not performed properly at the time of death. Number two, if a person has very grave desires that are not fulfilled and very strong, deep, desires, then there'll be haunting. Before they're qualified to take next birth, they're haunted for some time, and then eventually, when it is the right time, they take the next body.
So even after dying, they'll accumulate bad karma. Like even after dying, whatever the things they do, like whatever the soul does, like bad soul does, even that would be accumulated as bad karma.
Yes. Yeah, that will also be accumulated because everything is stored in the subtle body. Even those activities are also part of their because a ghost can create a horrifying situation in other people's lives, right? So that's all accumulated as bad karma. So coming back here, the elements of the gross body and subtle body. Gross body is made up of this Pancha Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Subtle body is made up of mind, false ego, and intelligence. And soul is made up of
Grass body.
No. Soul. So what we are seeing is gross body and subtle body. And few slides before, we discussed what soul is made up of. What are the three components the soul is made up of?
Willing, thinking.
No. The three faculties of consciousness. So gross body is made up of earth, fire, water, air, ether. Subtle body is made up of mind, false ego, and intelligence. Question is, what is soul made up of? Sachidananda. Yes. Yeah. Sudhakar has a short memory. Very good. Satchit Ananda. Three components. Now for us, it's very difficult to comprehend, right? Oh, what is Sat Chit Ananda? We can only comprehend, the body is made up of this earth, fire, water, air, ether. For that matter, we cannot even conceive air and ether, right? Air, at least we can feel it by breathing and by looking at the trees, we can feel the air. Ether, it's the intracellular space within the body. Ether is the intracellular space. The space between the cells is occupied by ether. Not occupied, the space itself is called ether. The space between the cells is ether. We cannot comprehend that. So how can we comprehend what is Satchit Ananda like? So even though it is beyond our comprehension, but that is what is made up of Satchit Ananda. So now coming back to gross body and subtle body. Gross body is earth, water, fire, air, ether, Pancha Mahabhuta. And then subtle body, mind, false ego, intelligence. So false ego. So we all heard of ego, right? But false ego probably you may not have heard about. So ego is, and the general understanding is people say that oh, so and so person he has a lot of ego. He's very egoistic, he's really bad, very egoistic. He has a lot of ego. But in Vedic perspective, ego is not bad. And the definition of ego is the real identity, the true identity is ego. I am the soul is ego. I am the soul is ego. That is ego. And it is good. It's good ego. It's good to have that ego. And false ego, what is false ego? Is the opposite of that. Identifying with the body is false ego.
No.
Identifying
Thinking
with,
of I am this body only,
yeah,
not anything else.
yeah, that is false ego. So false ego is what keeps us in this material world. False ego is what keeps us in the material world. It keeps us in this repeated cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. So once the soul in the conditioned state, when the soul is purified, then it gets rid of the subtle body also. It gets rid of mind, false ego, and intelligence, and it takes a spiritual body.
That depends upon what we are doing with this body only.
Yeah, what you are doing in this life depends on that. Soul trapped in the 8 elements that we just discussed. Okay, so there is a to understand this concept better, the gross body, subtle body, soul, all these things. To understand this better, there is a pictorial representation here. So Samet, what and all you see here in the picture? Huh? Chariot. Okay. What else do you see? Horses. Okay.
Just 2 people.
2 people. Who are those 2 people? Krishna and Arjuna. Okay. So they all represent different things here. The horses represent the 5 senses.
Oh, Panchabhuta.
Huh? No, not Panchabhuta.
No,
Pancha Mahabhuta is the different elements of the gross body.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 5 senses, eyes,
Oh,
I mean the seeing,
okay.
tasting,
Sound.
hearing, smell, and then touch. These are the 5 senses. So these 5 horses represent 5 senses. And the chariot represents the body.
Come on.
Chariot is the body. Chariot is the body, and then the horses, the 5 senses that are pulling the chariot are like the 5 senses. So our senses, they're always pulling our body to engage in different activities. Okay. The hearing sense pulls the body to hear some Bollywood, Tollywood, music. Okay. And then the taste sense pulls us always to taste nice dishes. Okay. And then the touch object always pulls us to touch soft, comfortable things. Similarly, each of those 5 senses, they always pull the body, just like the horses are pulling the chariot in different directions. But there should be a person to control these horses. Just like how Krishna is controlling here, there should be a person to control these horses. So Krishna represents intelligence. Krishna represents intelligence. So intelligence should be guiding or controlling the senses, so that the senses do not go here and there. Just like the horses They do not go here and there. If an intelligence, if the intelligence is guiding and controlling the senses will be in proper control. And then Arjuna is sitting in the chariot. So chariot is the body. So who is sitting in the body? Soul. Soul is sitting in the body. Okay, so Arjuna represents the soul. So we have the soul represented by Arjuna here, the chariot represented by, and the body represented by chariot, and senses represented by horses, and intelligence represented by Krishna.
Intelligence or mind, right? Intelligence or mind, right?
The mind is a rope.
Oh, mind is a rope.
Mind is a rope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mind is a rope. Yeah, I forgot about that. Mind is a rope.
Oh, if you don't have intelligence, you don't know where to go, right?
If there is no intelligence and you let the mind wander,
it can go
so
anywhere.
the senses will take dictation from the mind. But the mind should be controlled
But
through intelligence.
or wisdom.
Yeah, intelligence. So the hierarchy is like this. Senses. Now first the gross body, lowest level gross body, and then one level above is subtle body, but subtle body is made up of 3 elements, right? So above gross body is mind, and one level above mind is intelligence, and above intelligence is false ego, and higher than false ego is the soul. Higher than false ego is soul. Knowledge of the soul. This is another analogy given here. Just like this lady, she got a parrot in that cage, and then she's always taking care of the cage nicely. She's always painting, cleaning, and she's doing so much to take care of the cage. But she's not noticing what's happening to the bird itself. And eventually, one fine day, she realized that the bird died. Similarly, if we don't cultivate knowledge of the soul, and if we don't nourish the soul, if we don't feed the soul, one fine day we will lose the soul. Just like if you don't feed the body,
The soul also one fine day, soul will leave our body, right?
soul will leave body at the time of death. Soul will leave body, but if you don't cultivate soul knowledge, and if you don't nourish the soul, losing the soul means what? That means soul will degrade to lower planetary systems. Yeah. I mean, you can never kill the soul. You can never kill the soul. Soul will never die. But losing the soul means instead of going higher, soul will go to lower planetary systems. It will go to Patal Loka. Or on the earthly planetary system itself, from human life, it will take one of the animalistic species. Yeah. The other 8.4 billion species of life. Yeah. So this analogy is given to explain what modern civilization is all about. So modern civilization is all about taking care of the body and not the soul. And we discussed that story, right? The 4 wives, story of king and 4 wives. The 4th wife is the soul. And this is the only wife that comes with you all the time, even after death. There are some people who don't even come to the crematorium. There are some things that come at least to the crematorium, but the only thing that comes even after this death is the soul. So if you take care of the soul nicely, then you will get a nice and higher destinations after death. There is another shloka from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 36. Apiched suduraj apiched papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrittamaha sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrijinam santarisyasi. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in okay. Some text is missing. When you are situated in Krishna consciousness, okay, let me pull up this verse 4.34. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Is it 4.34 or 36? Yeah. And by the way, this is where you can go to look at the Bhagavad Gita verses and the translation and purports by Srila Prabhupada, vedabase.io. That's where you will find Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, all other literature written by Srila Prabhupada. If you don't have the physical copy, this is where you can go. And as a quick reference, you can just Google, BG, Vedabase, and then the verse number. You will find it. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. Yeah. Okay. I think the last one. Okay, summary. We discussed who we are, what is our true identity. And we learned we are not the temporary body, but the spirit soul. And we discussed 5 different methods to prove the existence of soul. And we discussed the attributes and qualities of the soul. Soul is indestructible, individual. Soul is full of knowledge. Soul is eternal, full of bliss. And soul does not undergo transformations. Okay, there is one more slide. Soul, super soul. The differences between soul and super soul. So qualitatively, both soul and super soul are same. They have the same qualities, but quantitatively they are different. So soul, the Jivatma, is very minute, and Paramatma, super soul, is infinite, Vibhu. Soul is aware of only one's own body, whereas super soul is aware of everyone's body. And he knows past, present, and future. Souls are many, super soul is one. Soul is Krishna's part and parcel. So Jyoti always says this, right? Part and parcel. So this is the shloka here. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha mana shastrani indriyani prakriti stani karshati. So did you hear this before, or you read somewhere? Part and parcel thing.
Parcel, my brother told me.
Your brother?
Nalapur.
Okay. So
He's in Mayapur.
oh, he's in Mayapur.
Devotee.
Oh, nice. He lives in Mayapur.
No.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
So
he
you
was
have.
there in USA for like 10 to 15 years.
Ah,
Then he went to West Bengal.
he quit everything and living in Mayapur.
Exactly.
What is his name?
Real name is Nagesh Reddy.
Okay.
Nadia Bihari Das.
Arya Bihari Das. Okay. Wow. Okay. Good. You have a good connection in the family.
Yeah.
Very nice. Did you ever visit Mayapur?
No.
Next time.
Okay.
Have plans.
Yeah.
ఎక్కడండి మాయాపూర్
West Bengal,
వెస్ట్ బెంగాల్
near Calcutta.
కంట వెళ్ళట్లేదు కదా
అవునవును.
మాయాపూర్ అని చెప్పి.
Yes.
లాస్ట్ టైం వెళ్ళినప్పుడు
అవును వెళ్ళింది.
ప్రిన్సీతో వెళ్ళినట్లు
అవును వాళ్ళిద్దరు ఇంకో ఫ్యామిలీ ఇక్కడ బెల్వీలో ధనశ్రీ అని ఉంటుంది, వాళ్ళందరూ కలిసి వెళ్ళారు.
మేము వార్క చూసినట్టున్నాం, ఢిల్లీ స్టాంపింగ్కి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు వెళ్ళాము.
Okay.
బట్ మాయాపూర్ అది ఎక్కడ అని ఆలోచించాను.
Okay. Do you also understand Telugu? Bas?
No, not much.
No? Okay.
But I think it's similar to Kannada.
Similar to Kannada.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of words.
Yeah.
Yeah, script is similar. Yeah.
మాయాపూర్ అంటే అది కృష్ణుడు రండి రాధారాణిదా? మాయాపూర్
Mayapur Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So 500 years ago, Lord Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's a combined incarnation. Krishna and Radha combined.
okay,
Yeah. So he appeared as a devotee
okay,
to show us how to perform devotional service,
okay.
how to chant, how to worship God, all those things.
Oh, God itself.
God appeared as a devotee.
Devotee, okay.
Yeah. So that is Mayapur.
He was born in Mayapur.
Yeah. So now some people hearing about soul and super soul, you also said, right? Now when a yogi who can get mystic powers, can we consider them as equal to God? Right? So not only you, a lot of people have this misconception that okay, so after some time, after doing some devotional practice or after achieving some mystic powers, maybe we become equal to God. Either we become one with God or we become equal to God. So we can never become equal to God, and we can never become God. We are not God, but we are gods. We belong to God. We belong to God.
That means demigod.
No.
Not even demigod.
No, we belong to God. Gods means we belong to God.
Everybody,
So let's say
everything belongs to God, so we also belong.
that bag is if somebody asks, whose bag is that? We say Kalpana's. Kalpana's bag. So like that, gods. If somebody asks who is Kalpana, we say God's Kalpana, God's person. Yeah. God's child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are two different camps, right? One camp, they say that they are God, self-proclaimed God men. There was this person, right? Rascal Nityananda. He was an idiot. Yeah, he's still an idiot. He's still there. He's still an idiot. He says, I am God. But very cleverly he says, I'm not here to prove that I am God, but I'm here to prove that you are God. So neither he is God nor we are God. We all belong to God. We are all servants of God. We can never become God. Simply saying is not enough. One should act accordingly. By chanting mantra, person becomes Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. So this chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the process of realizing our true identity. So the soul is in the covered state now. In the material body, the soul is in a covered state. The consciousness is covered. So how to uncover that is by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So by chanting this Maha Mantra, one gets the realization that we are not the body, but we are the soul, and we are the part and parcel of God, and we are servant of God. And you'll also have a realization what is your actual service. Simply knowing that I am the soul is not enough, right? You'll also get a remembrance of what is your actual relationship with Krishna. In the spiritual world, all the souls, they have different relation with Krishna, and they have different service. somebody, doing chamara, always fanning the chamara to God, somebody making garlands for God, somebody cooking for God, like that. Different people have different services. So your true identity will be revealed, means what your true service, what your true relation with God will be revealed. You'll have an understanding. When you achieve self-realization, you'll have that understanding.
One fine day we will realize.
Yes. Yeah, one fine day you'll realize.
Swarupa.
Swarupa. Yeah, that will be revealed to you. Quotes on the soul by some scientists and some philosophers.
But Arjuna is lucky, right? He did not do everything with devotional services, but he still got enlightened.
He did not do anything.
Yeah, what did he do?
He was serving Krishna in a friendly relationship.
No, serving
Sakya.
a human being, but he doesn't know God, right? He doesn't know Krishna is a God.
No. Krishna put him in that situation just to make a case for speaking Bhagavad Gita. It's not that Arjuna is not a devotee, or he was a great devotee of Krishna. He was a friend and great devotee of Krishna.
No, he doesn't know first. First, he doesn't know.
So Krishna put him into illusion,
Okay.
as if he does not know anything,
Okay.
as if he does not have knowledge of the soul, and that's why he was bewildered. Looking at all his relatives on the opposite side of the battlefield, he was bewildered. So Krishna created that situation.
Mhm.
Yeah. So to teach Bhagavad Gita to all of us, Krishna created that situation, and Arjuna was put into illusion. Yeah. So these are some quotes by scientists and philosophers about the soul. These are good scientists, theistic scientists who believe in God and who believe in soul. So we don't need to scratch our head with all this. But basically, scientists also, the theistic scientists who believe in God, they also have faith that there is someone beyond, and there are universes beyond what we see here. They also have faith. They're not able to prove, and they're not able to find out what it is, but they also have faith. Okay. So if somebody has any questions, we can take. So Mahi, Madhu, and Monica. Any questions?
I have question on the slides. Like, I know you are sharing the videos on YouTube, but is there any way we can get the slides, because it's easy for quick reference?
I can
when
share
we
the
have
slides.
the slides.
Yeah, I can share the slides. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bravo.
If I start chanting today onwards,
Mhm.
if I am not perfect, when I am going to die, I don't know.
Yeah.
If I am not perfect in the spiritual thing,
Mhm.
in our next life, I am able to continue.
Yes. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 40, Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Swalpamapyasya dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Krishna says, even if you make a small endeavor on this path of bhakti, that is not lost. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya. Swalpa, even a little endeavor on this path is never lost. So if you achieve 10% perfection in this life, in the next life, you are given a birth in a devotee family or in a rich family, so that you don't have to worry about your financial things, and you can focus on this. So in the next life, you'll start from 11%. Yeah, you don't start from 0. Yeah.
can we measure its percent? How much percentage we are into?
How can we measure? How can we measure? Through symptoms. It's a subtle thing, right? We discussed. Any subtle thing you can feel and you can know about it by its symptoms. So let's say if Sudhakar is progressing nicely on the path of bhakti, you will not see Sudhakar getting angry on you or fighting with you more often. So he'll become cool, composed, peaceful. Yeah.
Opposite also is true, right?
What opposite?
Opposite also true, right?
Yes, opposite also true. Yes, if she is becoming, advanced, she's advancing on this path. Yeah, she'll also become peaceful and she'll not be disturbed. So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, 2.54, Arjuna asks Krishna, what are the symptoms of a self-realized person? How does he sit? How does he speak? How does he walk? And then Krishna explains. When Arjuna asks, how does he speak? That means, how does a self-realized person react in a provoking situation? In normal situation, anyone can be peaceful and normal and undisturbed. But the test of a great person, Prabhupada says, the test of a great person is in a provoking situation. If you want to decide if a person is a great person or not, the real test is in a provoking situation. So in a provoking situation, if a person is able to control himself and remain calm and composed, then he is a great person. If the situation around you is normal, then anybody can be normal. Yeah. So test of a great person is in a provoking situation. So Krishna says, a person, how does he speak? The Arjuna asks, how does he speak? That means, how does he react in a provoking situation? So even in a provoking situation, a person who is undisturbed, whether it is good or bad. Provoking means it can be a good situation or bad situation, favorable or unfavorable. Okay. Let's say you win $1 million lottery or you lose $1 million in stocks. Both good and bad situations, you should not be disturbed. You should not feel too happy when you get 1 million lottery, or you should not lament when you lose your money in stocks. So Sthita Prajna state. And Krishna gives what are the symptoms of a Sthita Prajna state. And how does he walk? How does he walk means, how does he engage his senses? How does he engage his senses? So a Sthita Prajna person, he engages his senses in serving God. Sthita Prajna person, a self-realized person, does not engage senses in material things because he finds happiness within. He's self-realized, he finds happiness within. So he engages senses in serving God. And how does he sit? How does he speak? How does he walk? And how does he sit? How does he sit means, how does he withdraw his senses? Or how does he control his senses? A self-realized person, how does he control his senses? And Krishna gives an example of a tortoise. Tortoise, just like tortoise withdraws the limbs when not needed. When tortoise is not moving around, tortoise withdraws its limbs so that it's protected from any danger. When there are no hands and legs outside, and only the shell is visible, the predators or people can think that, oh, it's only a rock or something. There's no living being there. There's no animal or living being there. Then they don't attack. But when the limbs are available, visible outside, then there is a danger. Similarly, Krishna says, just like how a tortoise withdraws limbs, a self-realized person controls senses and not get agitated. Senses are active. Because the soul is active, senses are active. But a self-realized person does not get agitated by the senses. Rather, he withdraws them, just like how a tortoise withdraws the limbs. So these are the symptoms, person is peaceful, calm, composed, relaxed, not disturbed. These are the symptoms of advancement. Yeah. You can see by yourself, you're not the same person like 1 year before. 1 year before, you are not even attending these classes, but you are advancing. You have taken one step forward. You're attending, you're coming, you both are coming, your family, entire family is coming every week. Saturday, Sunday, you could be doing many things, right? This is the Diwali week. You could be having get-togethers and enjoying. You might still be doing those. But after class, you might still be doing those. But even in this time, you could be doing other things, but you chose to hear this Bhagavad Gita. That itself is an indication of advancement. So, and as you make further progress, you'll see more and more symptoms. Yeah. And these symptoms will give you inspiration to move forward further. Yeah. If you see symptoms in him, that gives you inspiration. If you see symptoms in her, that gives you inspiration. So, yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Basu, what do you feel so far? Okay.
I'm glad I came again.
Yeah. So I'll add you to the group. I'll take your phone number, add you to the group.
I'm in the WhatsApp group.
You're in the group?
That's how I got it. Yeah.
Okay. So who added? You got added recently?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you are in the group then.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll send you the recordings and all. Yeah. Okay. If there are no questions, we'll stop here. Thank you everyone for joining. Hare Krishna. We'll continue next week with a new topic.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Happy Diwali again, everyone.
Thanks, Prabhu. Same to you.
Yeah, thank you.